What is good, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video, and in this one I want to talk about what's going on with Tesla, SPY, Nvda, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers, and break down some very important levels to be watching for and what's going on with the charts thus far. But before I begin the all this information, before I get into any more details, let me just mention a couple of things. Firstly, I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Moomoo and deposit $100 into the account, you are guaranteed up to 5 free stocks. If you deposit $1,000, you're guaranteed up to 15 free stocks, and the offer ends very soon. Anyways, now let's break down what's happening to the market. So I just want to call out that right now, SPY looks extremely strong. So does the QQQ, so does Nvda, and these other tickers out there. And there's likely more upside coming. However, I do want to mention something else. I do have a small warning for everyone. I will be talking more about this tomorrow as well, about how the market is moving. So I will be talking about that a little bit later. But first, let's talk about some very important details for next week. Next week is going to kick off earnings season. Don't forget that we have United Airlines, not to mention Logitech and a few others for Monday. And earnings will really kick off since we have like tech starting. We had some earnings this week, of course. It was mainly just some banks, nothing too like insane compared to tech. But the banks were pretty important for some sectors. But now we have tech coming out, which could affect other sectors even more, such as the S&P 500, the QQQ, and such, the Nasdaq, and the list goes on. For Tuesday, we have Verizon, we have GE, we have not to mention Netflix and a bunch of others. We have a bunch of those coming out for Tuesday. For Wednesday, we have AT&T, Tesla, and IBM. Tesla's going to be the biggest one for the week, in my opinion. And for Thursday, we have Intel, Visa, just a few others, and everything's going to kind of cool off after that. But Tesla is going to be the biggest one for the week alongside IBM. Those are two of the big ones. Netflix is going to be pretty big too. Make sure you watch all of these very carefully. We'll have to see how it goes. As far as the Fear and Greed Index goes, this, in my opinion, it's very greedy, but it's not at extreme greed as of right now. This claims that it updated, but sometimes this could even update after like a few hours as the market is still in the after hours sessions. So we'll be watching this very, very carefully. Right now, the market's close to extreme greed, and that's when you want to be a little bit careful. We're not quite there yet, so I'll see what this looks like on Sunday. We'll be very careful from there. Right now, there is something interesting that happened for March 2024. The market is expecting the Fed to most likely, there's a high probability the Fed is just going to kind of skip on any cuts and just kind of keep rates the same. There's a decreased probability of them giving us a cut for March now after what the Fed speakers have said. And despite that, the market is still back to the upside after we got some good data. So, with that being said, let's talk about the charts real quick. What do I see for the chart? The answer for SPY is it's bullish. It looks bullish right now. It looks like it could pump more because we're getting good volume and we're about to get a bullish crossover on the PPO. On top of this, SPY just got a very, very parabolic move, some very strong looking bars. And we're going to be watching 482.75, the high we made today. If we break that, there's 483. If we get above that, there's a good chance it's not going to stop at 484, but it could reach 485. SPY still looks very strong in my opinion. It could push more. But I do want to, excuse me, I do want to warn you all that on the daily chart, we have a bearish divergence developing, right? And this doesn't always play out. The majority of the times these do play out. Because they don't always play out, I can't like promise anything regarding this, but I do believe there's truth behind what this is suggesting, and that is the market's going to top soon. So yes, I think the market will top soon, okay? But I don't think the top is in yet, and the market could still pump more, despite the fact that there is going to be a top forming. This is like a warning to just take profits when you can. Don't be way too greedy and to be very careful. So that's what I want to say about SPY. This looks bullish. It favors the bulls. There's likely going to be more upside coming. I'll be breaking down more details over the weekend about this, though. On the QQQ, this is just like SPY, very strong. If anything, it actually broke all-time highs again in the after hours. Very strong pump on the QQQ. There's no sign of this breaking down, so do not turn to a mega bear instantly. So what are we looking at? Basically, this thing just soared past all of these resistance levels like it was nothing. Our next major resistance, since we're above 421, our next major resistance is going to be close to 422 to 422.5. If we get above that, I don't think 424 will stop it. I think we could go all the way up to 425 on the QQQ. It looks very strong in my opinion. For support, if we lose 420, there's a risk of it coming back down to 418. But not a guarantee yet. I think that it still looks strong. It still favors the bulls, and there could be more upside coming going into Monday. So there's a very good chance it pushes even more. So we could see even more upside. So watch that very carefully on the triple Q. For Tesla stock, I want to note something very important about Tesla. There's a chance that Tesla could actually try to pump a little bit. Not saying I'm a mega Tesla bull or anything like that right now because of all the manipulation and such, but Tesla has like a triple bottom like formation. And on top of that, Tesla has a triple bullish divergence developing. A triple bullish divergence has developed on Tesla, which suggests that this might bounce a little bit. Now, we also have this imbalance at 216, so there's a very good chance it's going to try to push up to at least 216 next week. Now, why might Tesla push up a little bit finally? Tesla has been very weak. It's a very, very weak stock right now. It's been very weak. It's been very weak compared to the markets. Not a whole lot has been going on with Tesla. But the reason why I'm calling out some kind of bounce is because not only is there like a triple bottom and a bullish divergence, but we have earnings coming up, right? Tesla has earnings coming up on Wednesday, so it might actually try to push a little bit approaching earnings. There's still a possibility of that. So this is the earnings calendar for Tesla. After market close on Wednesday, we have Tesla's earnings. This might bring something very exciting. So we'll watch and see if Tesla could bounce here and push up a little higher. I'll be looking for that going into next week. We did close above 212. We have to try to hold above this. If we hold above this, we have resistance at 214. If we break that, 216 is next. If we break above the 216s, I don't think it's going to stop at 217. I think it's going to push up to 220. So that's going to be very important. For support, we want to see Tesla hold above 212. If we lose that, there's minor support at 210 and strong support at 208. Buyers are trying to defend the 208s around Tesla. If we lose 208, our next target is 205. But I do believe that this is forming a nice accumulation. Institutions are buying some shares that might try to push Tesla up just a little bit, at least approaching its earnings. After earnings, things could change. We'll have to see how it goes from there. For Nvda, right? Nvda, in my opinion, looks very, very interesting. This is uptrending very strongly, very, very strong. We also temporarily broke above 595 in the after hours, but we closed just there, I would say, for today. So I would say that we have support at 592 and 590. If we lose 590, there's a risk of it coming down to 585. We also have resistance at 595. If we break that, our next target is going to be 600. In my opinion, there's a very good chance that Nvidia is going to try to break 595 and push up towards 600 plus. It looks very strong, very, very bullish. You guys can see this nice uptrend on Nvidia. It is not stopping just yet, especially after the meta news that came out. This looks like 600 could be coming very soon. Last but not least, for Aapl stock, I'm going to end the video kind of early since there's a weekend coming up. Aapl is looking strong as well because if you look at Aapl here, I was looking at this earlier. If you look at the daily time frame, right? We have an unfilled gap that hasn't filled yet. So right here, it's around 192.3. Then we have resistance at 194 after that. Also notice the PPO down here is about to get a bullish crossover. So when we get these bullish crossovers, we tend to push up more. Right here we got a crossover, we pushed up more. Here we got a strong, excuse me, a strong crossover, then we pushed up more. If I go back on the chart like this, another crossover, we pushed up more. Sometimes you get very flat crossovers. Let me see if I can find an example. So like right here, we got a flat crossover. We pushed up just a few dollars. Uh, so sometimes when we get those bullish crossovers, we get some small pumps. Sometimes we get big ones. This looks pretty strong. We're about to get a strong pump right here. We're getting a bullish crossover on the PPO, which suggests this might start pushing a little higher. So it looks bullish. It looks bullish overall. It looks like there's a little bit more upside coming. So going to be watching it push up to the 192s. If 192.5 breaks, our next target is 193.5. Then eventually we could get very close to 195. Technically, it's 194.4, which is where we got this rejection, but it's basically this 195 zone, very close to that. So that's going to be our next target if we do break out. Support's at 190. If we lose that, 188 is next. Overall, Aapl looks bullish. All right, guys, so the market may push up more for the short term, but I'm going to be breaking down more details about this later on for my weekend video. Thank you all for listening. Enjoy the weekend. Enjoy what life has to offer, and I'll see you guys very soon on the next one. Thank you, and peace out.